There has been a major update on Goldberg's WWE status. Elsewhere, multiple NXT 2.0 stars have made their AEW debuts.
How many?
Multiple. And finally, an absent Raw superstar could possibly be making his return tonight. More on that in a little bit. Yes, hello everybody, it's Jack and Ross back again with more news. If you haven't seen the last news video, that's up on the channel as well. But we're talking about Goldberg right now, Ross.
Yeah, we are.
Big Billy Goldberg.
Because what do we want? What did Al Snow sing about in the Attitude Era? What does everybody want? Goldberg. What does everybody need? Goldberg.
Bill. In an interview, he's been talking to the New York Post recently, essentially, and he said he was still under contract with WWE, saying, I'm still waiting for that one call to happen one of these days, but I suppose you never really retire in the wrestling world until you're dead, so who knows?
I mean, lots of people retire before they're dead.
Yeah, they do. Allegedly, even Ric Flair's going to be retiring soon in his last match, which is the one that we never thought would happen. But yeah, I don't know what to think of this. He's been injured as well, he revealed, I think.
Yeah,
as well.
It was in the match against Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber. He buggered up his shoulder in that match there.
Oh, before that match.
It was before the match.
Yeah, he worked through it. He worked through it.
Yeah, but you never know when the phone's going to ring. He says Goldberg is focused on rehabbing the injury instead. Oh my God. I don't know what to make of this quote, Jack. It would appear that Goldberg might be coming back. Because I took that match against Reigns as like such a big defeat that he was retired. That felt like a retirement match to me.
But now it seems like it could have just been the end of that arc. And there might be another Goldberg arc in the future. What I've noticed from Goldberg in recent years is that he likes to call out wrestlers or say things like this in the press. And it always seems like he's either been told to set up a storyline, or he's like angling to get in there himself and squash our next favourite.
Well, you say that, Jack. You bloody, what's the word I'm looking for? You skeptical little man. You're not even little. You're just a man. You're also skeptical. But
thank you for confirming.
Goldberg over the weekend, I don't know if we reported on this earlier, but he also just basically said when he went over to Saudi Arabia to face The Fiend, because Jack obviously said there just to squash our next favourite, he thought he was losing, but when he landed in Saudi Arabia, he was told plans had changed and he was winning. He just does what the boss tells him he says, which I thought was very, very interessant, as the French might say.
I remember a news story from not that long ago, and I can't remember who reported it, but it was from sources within WWE saying that Vince was always really weird with Bray Wyatt and would either be really creatively all for him, say, yo, meant you, or he'd be like, oh, scrap him, he's rubbish. It's a weird one.
But they have, obviously, over the weekend there as well, just released a big Goldberg documentary on that. Is it A&E or something like that? I don't know how the American TV works.
No.
But they're getting Goldberg's name back out there. I think it's too early probably for a SummerSlam return, but there is a Saudi Arabia show coming up, and there is one in the UK, isn't there?
Oh,
get him on there.
Goodness me. He's been on and said and talked about it in this New York Post article as well, saying, who the hell am I as a part-time guy to come in and demand anything, when he's talking about thinking he was going to lose to The Fiend. First of all, he says, first and foremost, I've never said no to putting anybody over. Maybe back, and he goes, well, maybe back in WCW I didn't agree with putting Jericho over or something like that.
He hates Jericho.
He really does. Not in a million years in that Fiend situation in Saudi Arabia would I have done that. No way in hell. No way would he have pulled rank and gone, you're not as good as me.
Not to The Fiend.
No, not to The
Just
Fiend.
Just that dirty little Chris Jericho.
Absolutely. Now, there's been several instances, multiple, as we said in the intro, of NXT 2.0 stars, the finest brand in all of professional wrestling, making their AEW debuts on these dark tapings that have happened in Orlando, Ross.
Yes. First of all, we have a new faction called the Trust Busters, which sounds like it should be an NXT 2.0, but obviously isn't, which is comprising of former WWE producer come 205 Live fella, Ari Daivari. He's now just called Ari Daivari. He's teaming with former Ring of Honor star Slim Jim. Slim J. That's a slip of the tongue. Slim J. And get this right, former NXT 2.0 superstar Haaland, otherwise known as Parker Bordeaux.
Yes, he was the big fella with Joe Gacy.
With Joe Gacy,
and the one who seemed to have already a following on Instagram. He seemed like a ready-made star for them to use. And then they shaved his head and went, "No, you're a sidekick."
The one who for some reason was a very popular influencer with lots of big connections in the world, and he seemed to be a very charismatic man. He looked like Brock Lesnar with his hair, which isn't a weakness for me because looking like Brock Lesnar can't be a bad thing. So they shaved his head and just made him never speak.
Yeah, but he kicked Brian Kendrick down the stairs.
That's the one blotch on NXT 2.0.
Yes. Apparently, and this is fantastic, the story apparently over the course of the tapings that was told was that Ari Daivari is the richest person in pro wrestling with a massive trust fund. Prince Amin needs to have a word.
That's my thoughts as well.
Yeah, former WCPW legend Prince Amin. was obviously the richest man in professional wrestling. And now his gimmick's been stolen.
Or maybe the pandy hit Prince Amin hard. We don't know.
Maybe it did. Then Daivari recruited Slim J. These are all spoilers for the tapings, but they're so good that I don't think you'll mind. He recruited Slim J, and then later on, Parker Boudreaux, otherwise known, of course, as Harland, as the third man in the group. Dave Meltzer's been saying that Tony Khan's a big fan of them, Ross.
Brace yourself, Meltzer quote coming. Right now, no decision has been made regarding if this will be primarily for AEW or Ring of Honor, but Tony Khan was high on the idea.
So this, right, of course Tony Khan's high on the idea because this is going to be his Ted DiBiase. This is going to be his, he can relate to a really, really rich person.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be his vehicle, his self-insert into the world of AEW.
I reckon he might get involved, me as the manager.
Oh, yes.
Could you imagine?
Screaming those promos, stamping his feet. And also the other, right, this one I couldn't believe it.
Because he died.
He died in the realm of NXT 2.0, but Two Dimes, now known as Cole Carter, which I think was his name before he was Two Dimes, also debuted during these dark tapings. And yes, he was written off. He was
thrown off a bridge. He was maybe his feet were tied together, his hands were tied together. Maybe there was a concrete block attached to his feet, but he was thrown off a bridge and left to drown. But he put on Twitter as the segment was going on NXT 2.0 live. He was like, "Jokes on you, I can swim," something like that.
Oh,
then he deleted that tweet. He deleted the tweet, leaving people wondering, was that just somebody hacking his Twitter? That's someone playing a game, but no, it would appear the Two Dimes did survive the murder attempt.
And he's found his way to Jacksonville,
yeah,
or wherever the taping was. In Orlando, yeah. But the real reason that he was let go was apparently a policy violation was the official wording used, and that saw his contract terminated. He also won. He beat Mike Orlando.
Mr. Orlando himself.
I'm wondering if that's a typo. Did he beat Mike in Orlando, or did he beat Mike, the hometown boy, Mike Orlando?
It's an interesting one because on that quote, I don't forget what the source was, but they were like, it's a policy violation. He's been released, but the door's always going to be open for him in a year or whatever.
Yeah,
so
that was it.
If that AEW are going to snap him up and do some things, it'll be interesting to see if that plan is still going to happen or not. I don't know.
He's like the Jeff Jarrett of the situation of the war. Also, staying on NXT for a moment, multiple NXT stars seem to be getting, in fact, a SmackDown caller. Oh, it's big.
It's huge. Because basically, fans of the Cultaholic Wrestling podcast, Come Tuesday was a part of SmackDown, kind of, and so was Solo Sikoa. I've really undersold Solo Sikoa there because he's obviously the better one in every single way. But Come Tuesday is so bad. But people who don't know, he spoke again for the first time in weeks on last week's NXT. It was so bad.
No.
It was really, really bad. It was so bad it was good.
Von Wagner.
Come Tuesday.
What happened? I've not actually caught up with SmackDown yet.
It's one of my jobs today, but I assume they just had a big brawl because on last week's NXT they had a match, then the match ended in double counter because they couldn't keep their hands off each other. Then they went backstage and that little Oliver Cromwell, what was she like? She stopped.
Sophia Cromwell. This will make sense to people who listen to the podcast.
If you don't, look at what a great time you're missing. Yeah. She stopped Come Tuesday having a fight with Solo Sikoa by putting her hand on his breast, and then Solo Sikoa threw Mr. Robert Stone into a bin.
Oh, right. I've missed a big one.
So that's where the segment ended, and then it's picked up again on SmackDown because I saw a picture of them brawling backstage.
Oh, now there's been speculation that they could get called up to the main roster very, very soon. In fact, Sean Ross Sapp recently revealed that Solo Sikoa was in talks for a main roster call-up.
Crucially, just him.
Right, he's got the ready-made. He's related to the bloodline. Yeah. He's got the immediate storyline if they want to go in that direction.
And he's a thick boy with 2 C's. He's a good promo and he's a good wrestler as well to boot. Whereas Come Tuesday does all of the moves very well, but as you'll watch on last week's episode of NXT, he speaks like a cardboard box with a mouth.
But he can always improve, or just have a manager.
He's got one, but they still haven't talk anyway.
I know. I don't know why they haven't talk. But yes, NXT even tweeted on Friday night there was an altercation between Von Wagner and Solo Sikoa at SmackDown. Tune in this Tuesday to see what went down. Oh. So that seems to all be. Well, I'm just indescribably excited because we could see Von Wagner on SmackDown, but maybe more likely Solo Sikoa. Also, Kevin Owens hasn't been around for quite a while.
I don't know what's been going on with Kevin Owens. He had that feud with Ezekiel or Elias. Who was it? Kevin Owens thinks he's a liar either way. He had a couple of matches, didn't they? If memory serves. And then he just sort of disappeared with this undisclosed but not too disastrous injury. There's been an update from Fightful Select who say Kevin Owens hasn't been seen on WWE programming in nearly a month and was pulled from the June 26th episode of Raw. Fightful Select has learned that as of Sunday night, a KO show segment was planned for Raw on July the 18th. Thus far, Owens has not been advertised by WWE as appearing on the event.
It's a weird one because there was going to be a Money in the Bank qualifier between the two. that never happened and then became a battle royal or a multiple man match on the SmackDown after that. It was all very messy, and it seemed like their feud didn't have a definitive end. I mean, Kevin Owens could be gone for any reason, could be personal reasons, could be whatever, but it was the timing of it was weird, which makes it seem like it was an unforeseen thing.
Because it appeared to bugger up one of the biggest potential debuts in WWE history, which was the debut, of course, of Elrod, who maybe was going to get involved with the Kevin Owens Money in the Bank qualifier match against Ezekiel.
Hang on, apparently Kevin Owens also appeared at the NHL draft a couple of weeks later.
There was some sort of like, you know, they do the pre-show on WWE where they got the table in the crowd. There was that sort of setup there. And this guy on the left-hand side of the shot was just, hello, Kevin Owens, how are you doing? That's all I saw.
Oh, so he was there as a fan. He wasn't even there just appearing.
Oh, no, he did have a game.
No, that. But he could have been announcing one of the draft picks or something. I didn't realise he was an ice hockey fan, but then I remembered he's Canadian, so yeah, of course he is. So hopefully,
what are you tacking about?
Yes, although he's French Canadian, but yeah, it's still good.
Kelly. Tacking a boot.
So yes, it seems like he could be returning tonight. I hope he does, because he was. It sounds so stupid to say because he always is, but he was becoming one of the best things about the show yet again. Yeah,
just by being paranoid about Elrod and Ezekiel and lies. I'll tell you what I'm ready for. I'm ready for like a 2015 Kevin Owens heel run me. I'm ready for that Kevin Owens to come back. The Harley Race of the modern day.
The more serious Kevin Owens you're ready for.
Well, because it's been, I saw a statistic the other week, it was like 5 years or something since he's had a title. 5 years, Kevin Owens, 5 years.
He's one of your biggest. I know I'm talking to WWE Direct. He's one of your biggest stars.
Yeah,
and you're not using him well enough.
Proving he doesn't need a title to be a success, but give him one anyway.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for watching this video. As I said earlier on, check out our earlier news video on the channel as well. That's up already, and look out for a list of some description that's going out tonight. I'm not entirely certain what it is, but
10 biggest come Tuesday promos in NXT 2.0 history is the list that's coming to the channel tonight, and I cannot wait.
Right, well, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you very, very soon.